Suddenly you have politicians doing their best deliberately to stir up division, to make us angry and afraid of each other, just for their own advantage. And all of this was amped up, hyped up, 24/7 on cable and then on social media. And that's what I mean when I say democracy is at stake in this election. And that's why it's not enough to elect Democrats like Mandela Barnes and Tony Evers. You've got to elect good people up and down the ballot. Because if things get close, they could make all the difference.
Yes, President Obama is correct. Voting for Democrats up and down the ballot on November 8 will make all of the difference. But the difference in what? Since I'm mostly known as a game show host, let me put on my old game show vibes. I throw on one of my old game show jackets, and I'm about to give you a quiz, and you'll be able to win a prize at the end of this video. I will tell you how, if you stick through and take this quiz, to learn WTF are the midterms. That stands for what the f, by the way. All right, here we go. Let's dim the lights in here. Let's get some game show vibes. That's more like it. All right, here we go. Keep your score. Let us know in the comments how you did. Honor system, because I will reveal the correct answers. Question 1. True or false? The midterms is a national election held in the middle of every 4-year presidential term, and many consider them as important, if not more, than the presidential election. If you said true, that is correct. It's 100% true. In fact, we elect more than 3 times as many governors than in presidential years. Next question, true or false? We will elect all of these on November 8th. 1. Every single member of the United States House of Representatives, all 435 of them, over a third of the U.S. Senate, 36 of the 50 state governors, 36 attorney generals and secretaries of state, thousands of state legislators, aka the people who make every law in your state, mayors, school board members, city council members, everything. If you said true, that is correct. Well done. And in many states, you'll be voting directly on issues like abortion and the legalization of marijuana. Question 3. True or false? There are so many more 18 to 35-year-olds in America than older people that if just half of them voted in the 2022 midterms, they would overtake the influence of older generations and would control the direction of the country almost immediately. If you said there is no way that is true, you are wrong. It is absolutely true. You could take over control of the country on November 8th or by mail-in ballot ahead of time or early voting. So keep that in mind. Next question. True or false? If only one more Republican is elected to the Senate, Republicans will have the majority and have absolute final say on which laws get passed for the next 2 years. If you said that is true, you are correct. There are currently 50 Republicans and 50 Democrats, plus Vice President Harris as the tiebreaker in the United States Senate. So they get one more, they get majority. And by the way, if we get just 2 more, we'll be able to pass every damn thing because we'll override the essential veto of Manchin and Sinema, who refuse to vote for true progressive things that most Democrats care about. So keep that in mind. Next question. True or false? If just 5 more Republicans are elected to the House of Representatives in these midterms, they will have the majority and have absolute final say on which laws pass and don't pass for the next 2 years. If you said that was false, you are incorrect. It is also true. There are currently 213 Republicans and 222 Democrats in the House of Representatives. Just 5 more Republicans would flip the House. We cannot let that happen. Get all your friends to come out and vote. That is why. Next question. True or false? A Republican House could, and the Republicans have indicated that they would, if they gain control, impeach Joe Biden, pass a bill to ban abortions in every state, refuse to fund the government unless certain policies are adopted by the Senate and the White House, block any piece of legislation the president wants to get through Congress, even if Democrats control the Senate, and immediately end Social Security for seniors 65 to 75, and if you're over 90 because they think you've been on it too long and might not need money at the end of your life. If you said that was false, you are wrong. That is true. Crazily, that is true. Again, why it's so important. Next question. True or false? 36 states also have elections where they will decide 36 governors who can sign or veto bills on abortion, voting rights, police reform, immigration, climate, marijuana legislation, and many other issues. 36 attorney generals who can decide how to enforce or not enforce these laws. 36 secretaries of state who will have final say over how their state conducts the 2024 presidential election, and others. And as you know, we have hundreds of election deniers on the ballot, and our democracy democracy will go down in flames if we elect a lot of those people who will no longer respect your right to vote. This is the first election and the last election, perhaps, God forbid, that we have a chance to weigh in on whether democracy still matters to us or not, which is why you must vote. Next question. True or false, your vote can determine who actually sits on the Supreme Court for the next 20 or 30 or even 50 years. If you said that was true, you are correct. The U.S. senators elected on November 8th will serve for 6 years and will confirm or not confirm any Joe Biden appointments in the next 2 years and the next president's picks for the following 4 years. True or false, with just those 2 more Democratic senators elected to the Senate, and if we hold the House, the Senate will codify into law and make it the law of the land, Roe versus Wade, and make reproductive rights something that can never be taken away from us again. If you said true, that is correct. The bill to codify Roe v. Wade and restore reproductive rights across our land already passed the House of Representatives twice in 2022 and has 49 votes in the Senate. It just needs 2 more and it becomes law and we overrule the Supreme Court. And the last question, this is a big one. True or false? Democrats in the House already passed the following 15 bills, and if they retain control of the House and we get just 2 more Democratic senators elected in the Senate, they will likely pass them again and they will become the law of the land. The 15 bills are the Women's Health Protection Act to codify Roe v. Wade into law. The Right to Contraception Act. Should we be allowed to get access and keep access to contraception? The Consumer Fuel Price Gouging Act, to institute penalties for the oil industry gouging us on gas prices. An assault weapons ban. The Bipartisan Background Checks Act, to make background checks across the board with no loopholes. The Paycheck Fairness Act. Should women receive equal pay in America? That is decided November 8th. The Marijuana Opportunity, Reinvestment, and Expungement Act. Should cannabis be decriminalized federally and all people in jail for nonviolent cannabis crimes be let out of jail and their records cleared? The John Lewis Voting Rights Act, ensuring equal access to the ballot for all Americans. The Respect for Marriage Act, making sure that no one takes away the LGBTQ community's right and ability to get married in this country. The George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. Should there be consequences for discrimination in police departments? The American Dream and Promise Act. Should dreamers who came to the U.S. when they were young have a path to citizenship? I think so. If you do too, November 8th. Democrats up and down the ballot. The Affordable Insulin Now Act. Should the price of pharmaceutical insulin be capped at $35? Child Care for Working Families Act. Should the government subsidize the cost of child care for certain working mothers and families? The Violence Against Women Act. Should the government fund comprehensive responses to domestic violence, sexual assault, dating violence, and stalking? And finally, Build Back Better in addition to affordable insulin and child care, hearing aids for seniors, the child tax credit, universal pre-K, and more. On November 8th, we decide all of it. So, how'd you do on the quiz? And how do you win the prize I mentioned? Well, it's very simple. You already saw all of that. All you have to do now is make a video on your TikTok or Twitter and hashtag 2022 Midterm Challenge and at me, at Ben Gleib. I will choose one winner that I will follow on Twitter. I will repost your post and I will duet it on TikTok. Good luck. I'm Ben Gleib for Rebel HQ. Please vote November 8th. And in the meantime, also check out my stand-up comedy special, The Mad King, on YouTube.